mental fatigue, and brain fog are among the most commonly reported psychological effects of excessive masturbation. While occasional self-pleasure is natural and often healthy, doing it too frequently, especially in combination with pornography or compulsive behavior, can begin to impact the brain's chemistry in ways that lead to noticeable drops in mental sharpness, motivation, and overall clarity. Dopamine, a powerful neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, pleasure, and reward-seeking behavior, plays a major role in this process. Every time you masturbate, your brain releases a surge of dopamine, especially when it's tied to highly stimulating visuals like pornography. That rush feels good, it rewards the behavior and encourages you to repeat it. But when done excessively, your brain begins to adjust. It raises the baseline required for pleasure, and the receptors become less sensitive. This is called dopamine desensitization. What once gave you excitement now feels flat. So you might chase even more intense content or masturbate more often to feel the same high. Over time, this constant pursuit of pleasure rewires your reward system, shifting your focus from long-term goals and real-world achievement to short-term gratification. The consequences of this shift are subtle but powerful. You may start noticing a drop in energy during the day, difficulty concentrating, or a strange mental heaviness that makes even small tasks feel exhausting. You may procrastinate more, lose interest in things you used to enjoy, or simply feel unmotivated. That's brain fog. Your thoughts are sluggish, your memory isn't sharp, and you can't seem to access the clarity or drive you once had. This isn't just psychological, it's physiological. Frequent ejaculation drains the body of key nutrients and hormones that are essential for brain performance. Erectile dysfunction or delayed ejaculation caused by overstimulation, especially through frequent pornography use and excessive masturbation, is a growing concern among men today. While masturbation itself is not inherently harmful, repeated exposure to highly stimulating sexual content rewires the brain's arousal patterns. Over time, this can make it increasingly difficult to experience natural arousal or reach climax during real-life sexual experiences. At the core of this issue is the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and change based on experience. When someone repeatedly masturbates to pornography, especially content that is extreme or varied, the brain forms strong associations between arousal and artificial stimuli. Each time this pattern is repeated, the brain becomes conditioned to respond only to those specific cues. Real-life intimacy, which lacks the hyperstimulation of digital content, may start to feel less exciting or even underwhelming. This leads to a growing gap between fantasy and reality. What used to be pleasurable with a partner now feels dull or difficult, and the man may find it hard to get or maintain an erection or may take a long time to climax. This issue is particularly problematic because pornography often delivers instant gratification. One can switch scenes, change actors, and escalate intensity with a few clicks. The result is a constant novelty that keeps dopamine levels spiking. However, in real sexual relationships, intimacy involves emotional connection, touch, smell, eye contact, and unpredictability. These natural elements may not provide the same dopamine rush that the brain has come to expect. As a result, many men find themselves unable to become aroused with a real partner, even though they can easily perform when alone with porn. This is a clear sign of porn-induced erectile dysfunction, PID, a condition now recognized by sexual health experts around the world. Delayed ejaculation is another side of the same coin. For men who masturbate excessively, especially using tight grips or specific techniques, the body becomes accustomed to that exact stimulation. The brain and body learn to respond only to that sensation, making it difficult to climax during intercourse, where the physical and emotional stimulation is different. The problem here is not that the man is broken, it's that his system has been overtrained to a narrow set of inputs, making everything else less effective. Beyond the physical effects, These issues can create deep psychological consequences. Men experiencing erectile dysfunction or delayed ejaculation may feel shame, frustration, and anxiety during sexual encounters. This performance anxiety can worsen the condition, leading to a cycle where fear of failure makes arousal even harder. Over time, this can harm self-esteem and even cause strain in relationships. Partners may feel confused or rejected, assuming the lack of arousal is about them, when in reality, it's often a byproduct of the man's overstimulated system. The good news is that this condition is usually reversible. The brain is adaptable, and by changing patterns, it can heal. One of the most effective approaches is called rebooting, taking a break from all forms of pornography and masturbation for a period of time to allow the brain's natural reward system to reset. During this time, men often report increased sensitivity, stronger emotional connection with partners, and gradually improved sexual performance. The goal is to rewire the brain to associate arousal with real-life intimacy instead of artificial content. Mindfulness during intimacy also helps. Rather than focusing on performance, being present in the moment, feeling the touch, breathing deeply, making eye contact can re-engage the brain's natural arousal mechanisms. Gentle, open communication with a partner can also reduce pressure and rebuild confidence. Physical exercise, improved sleep, and a balanced diet help increase testosterone and boost the libido naturally, which supports recovery. It's important to understand that struggling with these issues does not mean a man is weak or flawed. In the digital age where sexual content is more accessible than ever, many men fall into the trap of overstimulation without even realizing the long-term consequences. The key is awareness. Once you know how this pattern affects your brain and body, you can take steps to reverse it. In conclusion, erectile dysfunction and delayed ejaculation linked to overstimulation are real, but they are not permanent. They are signs that your body and brain need rest and recalibration. With commitment, honesty, and healthy lifestyle changes, you can reclaim your natural arousal, enjoy deeper intimacy, and regain full confidence in your sexual performance. Guilt, shame, and low self-esteem are emotional consequences that often accompany compulsive or secretive masturbation, particularly for individuals raised in strict moral or religious environments. While masturbation itself is a natural and common behavior, the way a person perceives and relates to it can dramatically influence their mental and emotional well-being. These internal conflicts don't stem from the act alone, but rather from the meanings and beliefs attached to it, beliefs that are often deeply rooted in early life conditioning, societal expectations, and religious teachings. For many people, particularly those raised with messages that link sexual expression to sin, impurity, or moral failure, masturbation can become emotionally charged. When they engage in it, even occasionally, they may feel they've violated a sacred rule or disappointed a higher power, their family, or even themselves. This inner tension can create a loop of guilt. After the momentary physical release, they're left with mental distress. Why did I do that again? Or I'm weak for not controlling myself. These thoughts begin to chip away at a person's self-image, reinforcing the idea that they lack discipline or moral strength. Over time, repeated cycles of guilt can turn into shame, which is even more corrosive. Guilt is about feeling bad for what you did. Shame is about feeling bad for who you are. When someone repeatedly feels shame after masturbation, they may begin to internalize the belief that they are dirty, broken, or unworthy. This emotional burden can be heavy, especially for adolescents and young adults who are already struggling with identity, acceptance, and self-worth. It can lead to isolation, secrecy, and an unwillingness to discuss or confront the habit, even in therapeutic or supportive settings. The secrecy involved in compulsive masturbation often intensifies these feelings. Sneaking away, hiding behavior, deleting browser history, or feeling anxious about being caught all reinforce the idea that one is doing something wrong. The more secretive the act becomes, the more it reinforces feelings of being out of control or addicted. This secrecy also prevents healthy dialogue. People feel too embarrassed or ashamed to talk to parents, friends, or counselors, which keeps them locked in silence. That silence becomes a breeding ground for emotional suffering and misinformation. Low self-esteem is a natural outcome when someone feels stuck in a behavior they don't fully understand or believe they shouldn't be doing. They may start to view themselves as failures in other areas of life too, projecting their shame onto their careers, relationships, or goals. They begin to doubt their ability to grow, lead, or inspire others, believing that their private habits disqualify them from respect or success. Over time, this internalized shame can lead to a kind of self-sabotage, pulling away from meaningful connections, avoiding challenges, or suppressing ambitions due to a sense of unworthiness. For some individuals, especially those with compulsive tendencies, masturbation becomes a coping mechanism. They use it to escape feelings of stress, anxiety, loneliness, or boredom. While it might offer momentary relief, it doesn't address the underlying emotional need. Afterward, the guilt returns stronger than before because now they not only feel like they acted against their values, but also like they've used pleasure as a band-aid for deeper wounds. This compounds the emotional toll and reinforces a toxic cycle. Emotional pain leads to masturbation, which leads to guilt, which creates more emotional pain. Breaking free from this cycle requires a shift in mindset and self-compassion. It starts with understanding that sexual urges are part of being human. The problem is not the existence of desire, but how we manage, channel, and interpret it. Becoming aware of where your guilt originates from cultural teachings, parental influence, religious doctrine can help you question whether those beliefs still serve you. You can respect your values while still learning to accept your body and its needs without shame. Self-forgiveness is key. You are not broken or immoral for masturbating, even if you want to reduce or eliminate the habit. Working toward balance, setting healthy boundaries, and developing greater emotional intelligence will help you regain a sense of control. In many cases, talking to a therapist, especially one trained in sexual health or religious trauma, can bring enormous clarity and healing. Ultimately, masturbation should not define your worth. It's one aspect of your complex emotional, physical, and spiritual life. Guilt and shame lose their grip when met with honesty, compassion, and a willingness to grow. By understanding your behavior and healing your beliefs around it, you can rebuild confidence, self-respect, and inner peace. Reduced energy and vitality is one of the most commonly overlooked consequences of excessive ejaculation, especially when masturbation becomes a frequent and compulsive habit. While occasional sexual release is completely donal and can even be beneficial for relaxation and stress relief, overdoing it, especially multiple times a day or every single day, can gradually deplete the body of essential nutrients and hormones. This depletion doesn't just affect your sexual performance, it can begin to influence your physical stamina, mental drive, and overall sense of life force. Semen is not just a fluid, it contains vital nutrients such as zinc, selenium, magnesium, calcium, and amino acids like L-arginine, all of which play important roles in energy metabolism, immune function, and hormone production. When ejaculation is frequent, the body must repeatedly pull from its reserves to replenish these nutrients. While the body can adapt, it still takes time and energy to restore balance. If replenishment isn't prioritized through diet, rest, and overall health practices, the result can be a gradual drop in physical and mental vitality. You might find yourself more tired throughout the day, struggling to stay focused, or less motivated to engage in activities that once excited you. Testosterone, the key male hormone, is another major factor in this equation. Testosterone governs energy levels, sexual drive, competitiveness, muscle strength, and even emotional resilience. While masturbation doesn't cause permanent damage to testosterone production, frequent ejaculation can lead to temporary dips in testosterone levels, especially if paired with poor sleep, high stress, and a lack of physical activity. These dips, when consistent, can make a man feel fatigued, irritable, emotionally flat, and physically sluggish. He may feel as though his fire is gone. It's not just about libido, it's about life energy. This reduced energy often shows up in subtle ways. A man might sleep longer, but still wake up feeling tired. He might notice that his workouts feel harder or that his recovery time is slower. Mental fog, procrastination, or low enthusiasm for work and relationships can start creeping in. Even posture and body language can begin to reflect a loss of confidence and vitality. When the body is in a constant cycle of release without sufficient rest or recovery, it begins to operate at a diminished level, like a battery that never fully recharges. The emotional and psychological effects are equally important. When your body feels drained, your mind follows. You're less likely to pursue challenges, take initiative, or push past resistance. You may feel like avoiding social situations, missing workouts, or putting off responsibilities, not because you're lazy, but because your energy reserves are genuinely low. Over time, this can contribute to low self-esteem and frustration, especially if you don't connect the cause to your habit. You begin to think something is wrong with you, when in reality, your body just needs rest, nutrients, and recalibration. One of the most frustrating aspects of this cycle is that masturbation often becomes the go-to tool for temporary relief from the very symptoms it causes. Feeling tired or emotionally numb, a quick release provides a short burst of pleasure and relaxation, but then it's followed by an even deeper dip in energy and motivation. This creates a loop. Fatigue leads to release, which leads to more fatigue. Breaking this pattern requires not just willpower, but awareness and a willingness to change your lifestyle. Recovery from this energy loss starts with reducing frequency and allowing the body to reset. Men who take breaks from masturbation, especially for periods like 7, 14, or 30 days, often report significant increases in energy, mental clarity, and overall vitality. This is not a coincidence. It's your body redirecting energy back into cellular repair, hormone balance, and higher function thinking. Physical exercise, especially strength training and high-intensity workouts, helps to naturally boost testosterone levels and rebuild strength. A diet rich in zinc, healthy fats, protein, and antioxidants supports hormone production and overall resilience. Another important step is sleep. The body does most of its hormonal regulation during deep sleep, and chronic masturbation, especially late at night, can interfere with sleep quality. Shutting off screens, getting to bed earlier, and creating a healthy bedtime routine can accelerate recovery. Additionally, mindfulness and breathwork practices help in redirecting sexual energy into creativity, discipline, and focus. Ultimately, energy is your most valuable currency. Everything you do, think, feel, build, and experience depends on it. Excessive ejaculation is like constantly spending from your energy account without making deposits. The result is not just a physical drain, but an emotional and spiritual one as well. But with a shift in awareness, discipline, and self-care, you can restore your vitality, reconnect with your full potential, and use your energy to fuel something greater than momentary pleasure, your vision, your goals, and your life. Interference with real relationships is one of the more serious long-term consequences of excessive masturbation, especially when it becomes a habitual escape or substitute for human connection. While masturbation can be a healthy part of self-exploration and sexuality, overdependence on it, particularly when combined with pornography, can silently erode intimacy, reduce emotional availability, and ultimately damage romantic and social bonds. What may begin as a private, seemingly harmless behavior can slowly create emotional distance and detachment from others. At the core of all healthy relationships is connection, physical, emotional, and psychological. Real intimacy requires vulnerability, communication, shared presence, and effort. These things don't offer instant gratification. They require patience, understanding, and emotional resilience. On the other hand, masturbation, especially when done frequently and in secret, offers immediate release without any emotional cost or mutual effort. It becomes a solo activity that fulfills surface-level desires while bypassing the depth of human connection. Over time, this can lead to the brain and body becoming conditioned to seek pleasure alone rather than through shared experiences. This shift often happens subtly. A person may begin to prefer the predictable and effortless satisfaction of masturbation over the complexities of real intimacy. Unlike relationships, there's no risk of rejection, no need to listen, communicate, or be emotionally present. But those very elements, empathy, affection, anticipation, and reciprocity, are what deepen bonds and make sex meaningful. When these are missing or avoided, the emotional fabric of a relationship begins to fray. One of the most damaging effects of this shift is the reduction in desire for a real partner. Sexual attraction and emotional intimacy are built through shared experiences, physical closeness, and emotional availability. When someone frequently masturbates, especially while viewing highly stimulating or unrealistic pornography, their standards of arousal can become distorted. They may begin to find their partner less stimulating or exciting, not because the partner has changed, but because their brain has adapted to artificial stimuli that cannot be matched in real life. The result is decreased libido, less engagement, and reduced satisfaction during partnered sex. This can lead to confusion, frustration, or resentment within the relationship. A partner may feel rejected or undesired, interpreting the emotional and sexual distance as a reflection of their inadequacy. Meanwhile, the person struggling with overmasturbation may feel guilty, disconnected, or emotionally numb. The unspoken distance grows, communication breaks down, the bedroom becomes silent. What was once a vibrant bond begins to feel like a performance, or worse, a burden. Emotional isolation is another major consequence. Human beings are wired for connection, not just physically, but spiritually and emotionally. When one turns inward for pleasure repeatedly, they may start to turn inward for comfort, relief, and stress release as well. Masturbation becomes a coping mechanism, a way to soothe loneliness, anxiety, or dissatisfaction. Instead of reaching out to a partner or a friend, one chooses to retreat into solitude. While this may offer short-term comfort, it reinforces patterns of avoidance and emotional withdrawal. This self-isolation, over time, can spill into other areas of life. Social energy decreases, interest in going out, forming new relationships, or maintaining old ones begins to fade. There's less motivation to grow within a relationship, try new things, or emotionally invest. The individual becomes more comfortable with isolation and self-gratification, even though it often leads to feelings of emptiness, dissatisfaction, and regret afterward. This quiet erosion of social connection can lead to depression, anxiety, and a sense of being stuck in life. It's important to understand that this pattern doesn't make someone inherently flawed or broken. The issue isn't masturbation itself, it's the overuse of it as a replacement for connection. In the digital age, where instant gratification is available at every corner, it's easy to fall into these patterns without realizing the long-term impact. But just as the brain can adapt to unhealthy habits, it can also rewire toward healthier behaviors and connection. Rebuilding intimacy starts with honesty and awareness. Recognizing the role masturbation plays in your life is the first step. If it's becoming a default coping strategy or affecting your attraction to your partner, that's a sign to pause and reflect. Reducing frequency, eliminating or limiting pornography, and focusing on emotional presence during real-life interactions can help reset the brain's reward system. Reintroducing shared touch, affection, conversation, and vulnerability into your relationships can reignite emotional and sexual connection. Therapy or counseling, individually or as a couple, can also be powerful tools for unpacking deeper emotional blocks, rebuilding trust, and developing healthier sexual and relational habits. The goal isn't to demonize self-pleasure, but to place it within a balanced context where it doesn't displace the profound fulfillment that comes from human intimacy. In the end, what most people crave isn't just pleasure, it's connection. It's being seen, held, understood, and loved. When masturbation becomes a barrier to that, it's worth stepping back and realigning with what truly nourishes your heart, body, and soul. Reconnection is always possible with effort, awareness, and love.